Hey, welcome to the Platinum Pinfall. You're getting to catch me post-workout again. One, two, three quick stories about pro wrestling. That's Leo behind me, eating the breakfast of champions and running away. All right, three stories. Interesting, different ones today. First one, I'm sure you guys have seen this. Pop, what is that in reference to? Why is Drake's face on a hot sauce packet? Why am I glad that the kids have left the room while I talk about this? For those that don't know, and I was shocked about how many people in the wrestling world didn't know, and by people in the wrestling world, I mean white wrestlers in the wrestling world. Black people seem to know about this mess. And why am I talking about this as far as a wrestling news story? Let's look at this. Allegedly, Drake and an Instagram model allegedly met up on Instagram, and the two decided to link up a few weeks ago. The model and Drake had a romantic encounter, and what happened next was crazy. Long story short, she gave a bunch of specific details, right? Specific details so you knew that she really hooked up with Drake, including the details that you would most want to probably know about. No homo, right? So they went at it. Drake used a condom. Then he took that condom and disposed of it, right? Then she fished the condom out of the trash, untied it, and then basically put the opening end into her, because she was apparently trying to get pregnant by Drake. But she was in for a surprise. She said it was like pouring hot lava there. She screamed. Drake runs into the bathroom, and then he admits that he poured a packet of hot sauce in the condom to kill the sperm. So now the Instagram model is threatening to sue Drake. Why am I bringing this up? One, it is one of the funniest stories of all time. Two, it is absolutely bonkers. And three, it is way more entertaining than anything going on in pro wrestling today. But what are the key parts of this story? Details. They told you what you wanted to know. Two, the punchline is unbelievable. And three, the follow-up is interesting and it invites debate. Threatening to sue Drake? Sue him for what? What does this mean? What does it reveal? What is interesting about this story? The answer is everything. Wrestling people, we need to come up with some different stories. I'm not saying we've got to do the Drake bit. In fact, what makes me sad is somewhere pro wrestling will do this whole Drake bit. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that we can come up with different kind of stories, stuff that's outrageous. If it's truly a male soap opera with a physical aspect, which is exactly what it is, it's just storytelling. We need to come up with some different stories. We saw that was very possible. It's the reason Zach Mosley against Skrilla won for Best Feud. It wasn't necessarily the matches or anything else. It was just that those two guys came up with a concept and ran with it. That's what we're looking for. Thanks, Drake. Thanks for living an incredibly bizarre life. And, I would imagine raising the sales of hot sauce. These are the important things. Cool. Our next story, David Marquez, the guy who once ran Championship Wrestling from Atlanta, and there is no more Championship Wrestling for Atlanta because they fucked that all up, right? He posted this recently. Boop, I'll read it for you. When will people who report on or share their opinion on televised pro wrestling realize that it's a TV show? It's 2022 and we're still talking about empty seats? Broadcast licenses, advertising, and merchandise are top line items. The show you watch are already paid for before the tickets ever go on sale. Again, we're a TV show. He says. He's establishing that he is in the same realm as the WWE and AEW. Get the fuck out of here. And before you bring up ROH, that's a different situation altogether. They could have kept going. Someone on the top floor said, pause. Enjoy what we do or don't, but please don't think you know what's really going on with promotions and their bottom lines. It'll give you a headache. I know, it gives me one daily. Watch the Olympics coming up and count how many seats are unoccupied. Empty seats indeed. One, the people going to the Olympics are paying a fuckload more for seats than people going to, let's say, your indie show. But that notwithstanding, You know what matters? Perception. And in a business like pro wrestling, where watching the live experience is a huge part of it, yes, empty seats look horrible. If empty seats didn't look horrible and empty seats didn't ultimately hurt the bottom line, then they wouldn't have brought in the Thunderdome, correct? They would have just allowed us. How did the shows do, like Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, that basically recorded their wrestling shows with no fans there? They did not do well. And perception is reality. And those TV contracts that he's talking about, perception sure as hell is reality. And the perception is, if you're wrestling in front of large arenas with a lot of empty seats, that people are not passionate about your product. Because that's the truth. And that's eventually going to translate to your viewing audience. It has been said many times that the three most important entities are the two things wrestling one another and the crowd. Because without crowd reactions and without crowds giving you their energy, your show simply doesn't matter as much. And that's as true today as it has ever been. David Marquez is talking about money made on broadcast licenses, advertising, and merchandising, and that live fans don't matter, and none of that matters. And yet Championship Wrestling from Atlanta is fucking kaput. And Peach State TV certainly didn't want programming from other places, because what they were promised were shows that took place in Atlanta. And when they no longer got that, they no longer wanted to deal with them. And then sponsors and money marks ran away, and the whole thing imploded. And if they were so non-concerned with fans, then why did they go out of their way to make sure that they were there? And why did they consider it a Roman triumph that they sold more than 100 seats at their last taping, which wasn't at Center Stage Atlanta? Again, if fans don't matter, David and other people who agreed with him, then why don't we just record all wrestling in a sound studio with no fans and just pipe in crowd noise if that's what is necessary? Because wrestling, pro wrestling, is outlaw. And it has to be a living, breathing thing. And it has to have the people's reaction to what they're seeing that we can see on camera matters. And the more people you have, the better. And if you don't think that that's true, then please compare the threadbare crowds that they're pulling together for free, begging people to come for free for NXT now, compared to, let's say, a takeover crowd from back in the day. Our third story is Roman Reigns getting caught slipping, talking in a naturalistic way. Now, it's Roman Reigns is great, and he's lovely, and this is really just for yucks, though there may be fallout. The fallout is not for me to predict or determine, but basically Roman getting caught kind of slipping and saying the N-word is absolutely hysterical, because you could tell Roman is one of the few guys that they don't regiment, that they don't write out everything he says. He gets to go out there and be himself, and so things like this happen. I just thought this was a funny clip. We're going to end today's edition of the Platinum Pinfall here on the 15th with this. For those who have been signing up for my Patreon, mainly to get these, I would gather, I really appreciate you. Again, we have a new Platinum Pinfall every day, straight to the Patreon people, and then after a few days, we release it to a general public. So if you're one of those people who are just in the general public getting to see this a couple of days late, you can always sign up for my Patreon. Anyway, have a great weekend, y'all. Stay safe, especially in Georgia. We'll see how all that stuff falls out. Maybe we'll even talk about it on the 1, 2, 3 Platinum Pinfall. Oh, Roman, come preach that word. Oh, boy.
About the past, y'all. You must be sleeping under a rock or something, man.